What's up, everybody? It's Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. We're back once again with some UFC DFS picks and lineup advice, both FanDuel and DraftKings for tonight's fight night between Brunson and Shahbazyan. In this video, we're going to use our Occupy model from OccupyFantasy.com, which is behind the paywall, but we're going to show it to you for free here in this video to talk about some of the top plays, fights you need to target, the intricacies of this particular slate, projected ownership, and then general lineup construction advice to help you take down some contests. Now, wanted to get this video out earlier. Normally we try to get out Friday, so I apologize for that, but we had a bunch of fighters drop out on Friday, some replacement fighters. Lots of issues came up on Friday, so we had to push a bunch of stuff back, but here we are. Still plenty of time as the slate doesn't lock until 7 p.m. Eastern. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button below. That way you get access to all of our latest videos as soon as they are released. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and comment below with any questions you have. But we also want to hear who you think is the best play on the slate. FanDuel, DraftKings, doesn't matter. Let us know who you think is the top UFC fighter for tonight for DFS purposes. So let's pull up the Occupy model. What you see on screen here is our MMA model from OccupyFantasy.com. Ranks every fighter on the slate using the OF index, this column right here, our proprietary metric. Basically how I explain it, it's a lot that goes into it, but how I explain it is, on a usual slate, the likelihood that a fighter will win combined with the likelihood that when they win, will they be in the optimal lineup on either FanDuel or DraftKings. So that's how you need to think about that. So if you see an underdog near the top of the model, it doesn't mean we expect them to win easily. It just means that if they win, they're likely going to be a top 6 scorer. So the slate is very, very interesting. Tons of chaos. Just an insane amount of chaos. We had 3 fighters drop out. We have a canceled fight. We have a bunch of new fighters, 4 new fighters making their UFC debut. We don't have a 5-round main event. The Shahbazyan Brunson fight is only 3 rounds, so keep that in mind. I feel like that some people may miss that, and that fight may go more owned than it should. And then FanDuel just released their salaries about 20 minutes before this video was published at 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. Plus, with the replacement fighters, DraftKings couldn't change their pricing on some of these guys who stayed in to fight. So now we have a bunch of fights where there are 2 guys at the bottom of the pricing range facing each other. So we'll get into that in a second, but it makes a huge impact on this slate. Let's talk about the 4 new fighters for this slate. Let's see. We got a guy who just got the call yesterday, Johnny Munoz, who 7,200 DraftKings, $10 on FanDuel. I'm going to keep this brief. He's a beast, 10-0, and the way he fights is very conducive to DraftKings success, FanDuel success too, with takedowns, submission attempts. He hasn't faced a ton of good competition, but he's finished nearly everyone he's faced, and he's always hunting for the takedown, which is something we'd love to see for DFS. We have Vince Cachero, who will be fighting Jamal Emmers. Emmers was slated to face another UFC noob, but now he gets Cachero, who doesn't look as strong on paper, both from a fighting perspective, but also from a resume perspective as Munoz. But again, he is only 6,900 as a plus 160 underdog. We have Nate Maness right here, who is fighting Munoz. Maness is minus 150. Maness was slated to take on Ray Borg. In fact, Maness, such short notice, he was working a roofing job when he got the call to make his UFC debut. So this guy hasn't been full-time training, has been literally working on top of roofs for the summer, and now in a week or 2 has to take a UFC fight. Granted, it is against another UFC newcomer, but still not a good look. Really surprising to me that he's a minus 150 favorite in this matchup. Really, really surprising. And then we have Cody Durden here, making his debut. Tougher fighter, likes to get the fight to the ground. Another guy pretty good for UFC scoring, or UFC DFS scoring. And he's a plus 265 underdog, so pretty big underdog. But again, if he wins, likely comes from takedowns and some wrestling moves. So some interesting guys added to the UFC card for the Saturday slate. All right, the most important thing that you need to know stop and write this down if you need to. The most important thing you need to know for this particular slate is how important the Jamal Emmers and Vince Cachero fight is for both sites, and how important the Maness and Munoz fight is for DraftKings particularly. Now, Emmers, because he was on the slate and was an underdog to start before his opponent was replaced, he was only priced at 7,800. Now he is a minus 210 favorite, and he's only 7,800. So he should be pretty chalky. You see our early ownership projections have him near 60% on both sites. Very fair, especially because on FanDuel he's freaking $12 as a minus 210 favorite. Expect him to be very popular. Now his opponent Cachero, meanwhile, 6,900. If he wins, even though he's plus 160, he's $9 on FanDuel. So whoever wins this fight is likely going to be in the optimal lineup because of the way the pricing is set up. We're guaranteed a fighter on FanDuel from this fight $12 or below to get a win, which is something we can rarely say. So probably near 100% exposure there, if not 100% to either side. And then on DraftKings, roughly the same. We get a guaranteed 7,800 fighter or below in the optimal lineup. Now, the Maness fight is even better on DraftKings. Munoz 7,200, and because Maness was a big underdog when he was slated to face Ray Borg, he's also 7,200. So in this fight, we get a guaranteed 7,200 fighter with a win. You need 100% exposure to this fight on DraftKings. It's not as cut and dry on FanDuel, where Maness is $15 and Munoz is $10, but still, Munoz a massive value at $10. Maness $15 minus 150, not as great of a value as he is on DraftKings, but again, guaranteed $15 or under fighter in the optimal lineup. Pretty interesting. You need, on DraftKings especially, you need the Munoz fight. On FanDuel especially, you need the Emmers fight. And because we have at least 4 guys in this bucket, each side of these 2 fights that can win, the fact that there are going to be 2 cheap winners, we can leave a lot of salary on the table for this particular card. Normally we recommend $1,000 or less on DraftKings. That can be dropped even further with the guaranteed cheap fighters winning. I could see a scenario where $3,000 or $4,000 left over on the table wins this UFC GPP on DraftKings. FanDuel a little more. FanDuel, we normally don't worry about salary, but again, here's a scenario where you can leave more, or if you find a lineup you like and it leaves $10 or $12 left over, normally you wouldn't do that, but on this slate you definitely can just because of the way the pricing is. It's a crazy slate. We have other underdogs that can win too. We have Signs, who the model likes. Luque's opponent, Luque and Brown. Luque generally fights high-paced, DraftKings friendly fights, and Luque against Randy Brown is 7,400. Brunson was going to be a popular underdog, but now with all these late replacements, still has a puncher's chance. And if we get a couple more underdogs win, it will be nuts. The slate will be turned on its head, and it will be crazy because a lot of these cheaper fighters can outscore the favorites, the high-priced fighters. So really crazy. Go check out the model, occupyfantasy.com, because this is going to continue to be updated. A lot of this information is brand new since last night, so the model is going to continue to adjust. The slate locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. Highly encourage you to join our Twitch stream at 4:30 p.m. Eastern today. Twitch.tv/OccupyFantasy. You can ask questions live because we're still digesting a lot of this information. And it should be a pretty big edge for us because the vast majority of DFS players don't have enough time to fully process what's going on with this slate. Big edge. And again, salary usage we can throw out the window on this slate. And it makes, even though it's only 10 fights, normally that's tough for unique lineups, especially on DraftKings. We can get way more unique this time around by leaving salary and still not have a bad lineup. It's really crazy. All right. Before we get out of here, FanDuel MVP options, something we always like to talk about. Shahbazyan's going to be the chalk at MVP with his 55% KO chance, minus 335 favorite in the main event, even though it's only 3 rounds. Most expensive fighter on the slate at $20. We expect him to be probably the highest owned. Emmers, we'll see. Normally, even though he's a cheaper fighter, FanDuel players don't go for cheaper fighters in the MVP spot. Maybe we'll see it. But he does have a near 50% finish percent chance on this slate. So he's an under the radar, or at least lower owned than he should be, MVP option. Let's not forget Luque, who's at 42% finish percent. Let's not forget Kevin Holland, 38% chance of a finish. And then I like, if you're getting crazy in a high-risk contest, I like Munoz, 34% finish percent chance at $10. No one's really going to pay down a $10 MVP. But this guy's got a ton of first-round finishes in his career. It wouldn't surprise us to see him do it again tonight. And he may be the highest scorer on the slate at the cheapest price, which would be insane, but not completely out of the realm of possibilities. All right, lots to digest, I know. Be sure to check back in. Be sure to check the model, occupyfantasy.com. Check in on Twitch. Any questions you have, I know it's a lot of information, a lot of craziness. Go ahead and comment below. We'll be sure to get back to you. Click that subscribe button. That way you get access to all of our latest videos. And I think that'll do it. Chaos. It's what we want for a UFC slate. It's definitely what we want for a 10-fight slate to get us some uniqueness, give us a chance to take down some big satellites or big GPPs. All right, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.